Good morning. This is Jason Dean coming live at you for another Film Fanatic show. It is Happy Monday, or not Happy Monday, for depending on your schedule in your life. But it is about 9:49. Hope everyone's doing good. So yeah, we came out of a pretty nice weekend. Unusually warm weather, so super crazy. I'll take it, but it's very weird at the same time. So hoping it's doing good. I had some gigs this weekend and it was fun. I've been playing at this wonderful new venue, Hey Sailor. I've been playing there. Been fortunate enough to have a lot of gigs there, so it's been really fun. And it's close. It's a actual like legitimate music venue, and the food's really great, and it's beautiful atmosphere, great people. So looking forward to doing more things there. Got some big, I got a couple, one or two big announcements with Quantum that will be coming up that involve Hey Sailor. So stay tuned for that and a few other cool things. So yeah, yesterday also was the Super Bowl, which I was not aware of until Saturday night. I had gone out with some friends for some dinner, and one of my friends had said, "Oh yeah, tomorrow's the Super Bowl," meaning yesterday, which was Sunday, and I was like, "Oh shit, I forgot about that." And I had two gigs yesterday, and I was like, "Oh wait, nobody's going to show up because it's the Super Bowl." But it was a very mellow night. But needless to say, it was still a really good time. I got a chance to play with some new artists that just moved to the area, and I was kind of blown away by how great they were. Just kind of phenomenal. This husband and wife duo, pretty phenomenal. So, but the other thing that happens, I haven't watched the Super Bowl in many years. I've gone, the Super Bowl season or weekend is usually a big to do thing here in the States because of, people eat their chicken wings and with their ranch dressing and drink their beer and get shitty and messy and watch and look for, boobs popping out, hoping that there's another costume malfunction. So and the halftime show is always a big thing. And my friend had said, "Oh," and I asked who was playing at the halftime show, and she said, my friend Nikki said, "Well, it's Usher," and I was like, "Usher, huh?" I didn't even know Usher was still around or was still a thing. So I was like pretty surprised by that. I heard his performance was actually really great. I used to watch Super Bowl. I have seen it, over the years. Occasionally I've been to like a Super Bowl party or whatever. My dad and my brother are really into football, but I haven't watched a game in quite a few years. But sometimes the halftime show is pretty cool. I remember when Prince played at the halftime show. That was a pretty amazing thing. In my memory, I remember that being, for my taste, being like the best performance for a Super Bowl show. But the other thing that I've always loved about the Super Bowl, and I don't know, there's not a lot to love for me, but usually it's the kickoff for kind of the spring summer movie session. So a lot or season. So a lot of movie trailers or teaser trailers always drop during the Super Bowl. So that's usually exciting, and I usually and then obviously the commercials are top notch or top shelf or just so utterly ridiculous because of all the money that is used. But typically, I remember watching the Super Bowl to watch the trailers for new movies that were coming out. That was like a thing I would do a lot in the past. And I was on Facebook last night and I saw somebody that I know had posted, I guess, a teaser trailer for the new Deadpool that is coming out. I believe the new Deadpool, starring Ryan Reynolds, of course, is coming out on July 26th this year. And after I saw it, after I saw the post, I checked out the trailer, and it's just a teaser trailer. It's like a 2 minute trailer. I'm not sure. Sometimes with teaser trailers, they are obviously put together to kind of pull people in and grab their interest. And a lot of the times too, what happens for teaser trailers, they will actually shoot footage that might not be in the actual film. So I watched the trailer and I laughed my fucking ass off, and I thought it was amazing. I was like, yes, this is what the world fucking needs right now. Is a new Deadpool movie that just completely rattles the cage and just kicks ass and is amazing. And that, for at face value, when I watched the trailer again, it was a teaser trailer. It was 2 minutes long. I was like fucking laughing my ass off, and I thought it looked amazing. And it's going to be called Deadpool and Wolverine. They're bringing back Hugh Jackman. Basically, has come back to play Wolverine in this movie, in this new kind of iteration or reincarnation of Deadpool, of Wolverine. Because of course, his character was killed off in Logan, which I think is one of the greatest comic book movies ever. It's a tough thing to say, tough thing to call because there are so many. Lately, there's been a lot of clunkers, and I have talked a lot about my superhero fatigue and how I just have not had it in me to see any of the newer Marvel movies that have come out, and the ones I have seen, I have been just really disappointed with. Case in point, I'm a huge Guardians of the Galaxy fan. I'm a huge James Gunn fan, and I did not see it. Originally I wanted to see it in the theater, but then I didn't. I had seen the last Marvel movie I saw in the theater was Ant-Man Quantumania. And I really like the Ant-Man movies for what they are. I like the first one quite a bit. I think it's pretty entertaining. I love Paul Rudd. I love the science fiction element. So I I thought the trailer for that movie looked really great, and I remember going to see it in the movies, and I was so utterly disappointed. And I felt this feeling of I'm done. I felt like I was tapped out, and I can't do any more Marvel movies for a long time. I really think that since Spider-Man, No Way Home, the last Spider-Man movie that came out, and especially Endgame from the out of the Avenger series, they Marvel has continuously dropped the ball and just cannot come up with original material. They can't, they really, with those two films, I felt there was real closure, a real excitement, everything built to this like amazing kind of apex. And it was like, where do you go from here? And I just felt like everything that's come out since those two movies, especially Endgame and Infinity War, which are, I think, just masterpieces. And I really do love the last Spider-Man. I think that movie's pretty amazing. Ever since those movies, I just feel like everything they just can't get the act together. Their act together. They can't come up with something that is equal or somewhat on par to those storylines in terms of the excitement, the originality, taking some risks, taking some chances. It's just this, ever since those movies, it's just been this kind of regurgitated, over bloated, oversaturated kind of environment that they're just pushing more and more onto people. And it just, goes in one ear out the other. And they're just really bloated and just kind of gross. So I've stopped. I'm a huge comic book fan, but I just can't do it anymore. And so the last Marvel movie I saw that I rented, and I was going to see it in the theater, but then I was like, that's when the fatigue hit, was Guardians of the Galaxy, and I was really disappointed with that movie. I thought it had some good elements, but it falled flat big time for me. And I was like, this is a primetime example of where you have this really great, franchise and characters being the Guardians of the Galaxy, and they just can't make heads or tails on how to just tell a good story and not oversaturate it with so many characters and so many appeasing so many different things. Trying to bring in multiple universes of characters where it just things get so uh, go so askew and so convoluted and bloated to where you can't really make heads or tails of anything. And I just feel like that's what's happened. And again, I think so. When I saw the trailer for Deadpool, the new one that's coming out, Deadpool 3, that I was so utterly excited after watching it. I was just like, yes, if this is what the movie is going to be, this is what needs to happen. Period. For for the sake of movies in general, but especially for the sake of comic book movies and the world of the MCU and Marvel. Something that has a risk, something that is daring, something that is fun, something that doesn't take itself so damn seriously. And it's always hard to say, but I arguably think, the best comic book movies that have ever been made would be like Infinity War from the Avenger films. I think Logan is just a masterpiece. I also feel the first Deadpool is a pure masterpiece of a film. And I also think The Dark Knight would be up there. And I would say Thor Ragnarok. Those movies I feel especially are just, and I'd probably have to put the last Spider-Man movie in there too because it is so damn good. I think those movies are just amazing. And when it comes to the world of DC Comics, I would say one of my favorite Batman movie would be Robert Patterson's Batman. I just think that movie is a masterpiece. And I really love the Justice League, the Snyder Cut. I think that movie is amazing. So there are some really great films. And Deadpool is, I think, one of the greatest characters. It is the perfect. I remember seeing the first Deadpool when it came out. I saw it in the theater. I was pretty familiar with Deadpool growing up as a kid, being a fan of comic books, and I've always really, like most people, I've always really liked or loved Ryan Reynolds. I've always felt sometimes he can just a lot of the times show up on screen and essentially play himself as just a kind of a wisecracking obnoxious asshole. It's great and wonderful, and sometimes he can just do that maybe a little too much in every project that he's been involved in. But I actually think he's a really good actor. I have seen him in films of where he does not play himself, and he's actually really great. And he's got a lot of different abilities other than just great comedy. But I thought when Deadpool came out and I first saw it, I just thought this is an example of like the perfect symmetry. This movie, he was made to play Deadpool. I saw it in the theater. It came out in 2016 already, and I was utterly blown away by this movie. And I think most people who saw this film, it's hard to believe it came out in 2016. It was unlike any other comic book movie I had ever seen. It really took chances. It was dirty, it was raunchy, and it was super fucking funny, and it did not take itself so damn seriously. And it just delivered on all of the fronts. Like it was, the action was astounding, the writing was really great, the characters were just awesome. It was just a great experience, and I think it's one of the greatest comic book movies, and it might even be perhaps the greatest overall comic book movie ever made. It's such a breath of fresh air. It's so innovative. It's very meta. It has that whole thing of where he is talking to the audience, talking to kind of our society, our culture, breaking that third wall. Amazing. It's such an original piece of film. It really is. Aside from it being just so entertaining and so hilarious and so funny and thrilling, it's really an extraordinarily done movie. It was directed by Tim Miller, who has a pretty mixed record. I mean, Tim Miller is good. He's done some good things. He's been involved in the world of gaming and graphic novels. He made a pretty terrible Terminator movie recently or a few years ago, But this movie, I think, was by far his best thing he's ever been involved in. And I bought Deadpool a couple of years ago on Blu-ray, and this is one of my favorite Blu-rays that I own. It comes with a DVD version and also a Blu-ray version with a ton of special features. This movie is so spectacular on Blu-ray. It's amazing. This is one of my favorite movies of all time, and like I said, I think it might be one of the greatest, if not the greatest. It's probably the greatest comic book movie ever made. And I've seen it quite a few times. I'm After I watched that trailer that dropped for the new movie, for the new Deadpool, it made me really excited. I was like, I got to do a review of this movie. I got to watch this again. That's what you want a trailer or, a teaser trailer to do. I remember it was during COVID, the height of COVID, a few years back. The Batman, the movie starring Robert Pattinson, was supposed to be coming out earlier than it did. It got delayed because of COVID and just all kinds of other things that were going on. But during that time, I remember first seeing the trailer. There was a teaser trailer for the Batman. And I remember watching it, and it gave me goosebumps. I was so excited. And that was the feeling that I got when I saw this trailer for Deadpool. I was like, wow, like this looks amazing. This is exactly what the world needs, and especially Marvel. I feel like, judging it at face value from what this trailer showed, this teaser trailer, it really was that kick in the ass that it needs. Pure and simple. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It comes out in July. Deadpool itself, the series or the franchise, I do like the second one. I thought the second one was good. But I have to say, I remember going to see the second Deadpool in the theater. I eagerly was, anticipating seeing the second one. And I saw it in a theater, and it came out a few years after the original. And I thought it was really good, but I also thought it just wasn't as strong. Like, I felt some of the comedy in the second one fell a little bit flat. I thought it was a little bit. I kind of got the sense in the second one that there was. I mean, in a lot of ways, it was great. Tim Miller did not return as the director, which I thought was disappointing. But I thought it was still very entertaining. Ryan Reynolds was great in it, and it had some really great comedy, some great action. It was pretty gory. It was pretty violent, but I thought some of the comedy and some of the aspects of the movie really kind of fell flat, and it wasn't. The thing about the first Deadpool, when it first came out, and the thing that I thought made it so great was that just how it was such a breath of fresh air. It was unlike any movie we'd ever seen before. It was totally original and totally exciting, and just this. It was like. It just felt really fresh and kind of intoxicating because of how strikingly original it was. And it felt like with the second Deadpool, they were trying to do the same thing, trying to make it exactly like the first one to a degree, and it just didn't have the magic. I thought, well, maybe, and that might be a little bit overly critical, but I felt like the magic that made up the first Deadpool was that it was onto itself, it was new and fresh. And I felt like with the second one, they could have done something in a way where it was perhaps way different than how the first one was, as far as the structure or as far as how innovative it was. They could have done that as opposed to a degree, trying to carbon copy the first one. And I felt that kind of happened. And So it just wasn't as exciting as seeing the first one, where it was all new, it was all fresh, it was the way the narrative was structured. It was something we've never really seen before. So it just wasn't as strong because it was essentially them trying to capitalize on that um, way of telling a story. And I did think some of the comedy aspects in the film was kind of dead air. I felt it just didn't land the mark. It kind of dragged a little bit. It just wasn't as good. Again, I think it was a good movie. I would like to see it again, but I thought it just where I think the first Deadpool it landed of the all the marks. It just everything dropped into the slots. Whereas I felt there were some times of where it just didn't connect in the second one. Mostly around the comedic kind of beats of the film, where it felt kind of awkward in a way that isn't cool in a Deadpool kind of way. It just wasn't really funny, and it was just kind of flat. It felt a little bit maybe shoehorned in there, and it would have been cool if they decided to just go in a different direction or do something really, really different. I do like it, and I think it is a good movie, but again, so I'm very, very excited to see what they do. The other thing that just trips me out is that it's a Disney movie. Like, I kind of like every time I realize that now over the last 10 years or so Disney has basically bought the entire universe. Star Wars, all of the names attached to the Marvel universe. It's kind of ridiculous. And of all companies, it's Disney, so it's like, what? So the idea that they're going to put out a Deadpool movie through their studio, Disney, that's kind of like fucking insane when you think about it. But the trailer looked really great. It was super raunchy, pretty dirty, and not politically correct. So I'm hoping, I don't know. There's a new era approaching for Disney. I mean, it's Disney. So what Deadpool represents, his character is so anti-politically correct and so anti-family. It's kind of astounding. It's crazy. So we'll see. But I think the first Deadpool is you know again such a masterpiece. Perhaps the greatest, probably pound for pound the greatest comic book movie ever put out. So innovative and so utterly entertaining in every possible way. So yeah, we'll see. After seeing the trailer yesterday for the next Deadpool, it made me realize, wow, I need to talk about this movie and just talk about my feelings about it because I think that this whole world needs that as far as in the world of the film box office, especially the world of Marvel, because I think it's pretty much at death's door. I think it's just about going to die. They need something that is going to just kick everyone's ass to come out to really motivate people, to make people excited again, fans, and also the filmmakers involved, because it's been so dismal and so utterly disappointing for such a long time. And if this movie does not do that, I think that, you know, the plug will be pulled, and it should be, because I don't have any faith in anything else coming out in the universe that's going to be, at this point, good or of any quality, really. So thanks again. Needed to talk about this great movie and my rekindled interest in seeing this movie, Deadpool 3, which comes out in July. So thanks again, and we will see you next time. Peace.